just while I've got you on here, how this fits into the total picture right now of the FBI's loss of credibility. Because National-Justice, I mean, you've reported a number of stories that have not really gotten a lot of attention. Some have been exclusive to your publication, but some have just been, you've reported on it, things that are not getting widespread attention in the media. But the FBI has had a series of public relations disasters or embarrassments, we could say, for lack of a better word. Can you just go touch on a couple of those, the most recent ones?
I can go on forever. I mean, they have, when the Patriot Act was passed, Robert Mueller and the Bush administration turned the FBI into a domestic CIA. Okay. Because of course, during the Cold War, when the Cold War ended, there were a lot of provisions put in place after all the scandals with the CIA operating MK Ultra, all the stuff that they were doing, where the CIA cannot operate in the United States by law.
Right.
So they made up for this problem by making the FBI a domestic CIA.
And I'd like to just say about that the CIA came out of, what was the World War II era organization, Roosevelt's organization, the Office of Intelligence, I believe.
Something, yes.
Yes, and they were...
the OSS.
The OSS. And it's important that people realize that organization was top to bottom Jews.
Yes.
All the interrogations, I mean, you can even see it. If you go on YouTube and you watch the videos of interrogations at the Nuremberg trials and everything else, that organization, and this is not a conspiracy theory, it's a fact, you can look it up, was staffed top to bottom with Jews. So the CIA, which was just born out of that, sort of the way the KGB came out of the NKVD, the CIA was extremely Jewish from the beginning. And which is terrifying when you consider that Israel is a state. It's a separate state. It's not the United States, and Israel has its own intelligence game going on, and they have their Mossad. But when you consider that the CIA was at the beginning and is today still so loaded with Jews and Jewish interests, many of whom have deep ties to Israel.
Oh, there are tons of whistleblowers that'll tell you this.
Yeah.
Valerie Palm. Valerie Palm. I can name Michael, what was that guy? Michael Scheuer.
Right.
There's another guy, Philip Giraldi. These people worked in the CIA, and they blew the whistle on how the Jews and the Israel lobby controls so much in Washington's intelligence services. So this is part of the issue. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
that's why. Let me get back to the FBI.
Let me just say that the CIA already had a really bad reputation in the Cold War, especially the interventions in like Central America and other places. I mean, always supporting torture and supporting, overthrowing elected governments in parts of the world where the U.S. had interests. But the FBI kind of maintained this image. FBI men, the amount of like movies, and I know I read a book on the FBI where that was a very conscious thing by J. Edgar Hoover to kind of get Hollywood to support this idea of the FBI. But the FBI had this image different from the CIA of being upright and moral.
I'll explain to you why that is. I have an article on National Justice that you can find if you look it up about this very thing. Right. The reason why the FBI's reputation has traditionally been so good is because of a little-known law that J. Edgar Hoover had passed through Congress, which it's essentially a trademark law. So people don't know this, but the acronym FBI is actually a trademark. Like it's a protected, it's copyrighted by so you need express permission from the FBI to use it. And so they'll give you permission. However, you know what the catch is? In almost all instances where the FBI is a protagonist in a movie or a TV show, like there's a popular TV show now called FBI by the same name.
Right.
Well, the director has to get permission from a special FBI agent that specializes in media.
Right.
And they constantly have to write things out that would potentially make them look bad in order to get permission from the FBI agent, which is often on the scene when the movie or the show is being made.
Oh my God.
The FBI's public relations office, they have special agents that specialize in going to your movie studio and watching you. And if you're a person they don't like, they make it very hard for you to use their special seal and to use their acronyms. So script writers constantly have to, there's actually been cases where they've complained about this publicly. They say, I'm a script writer that tried to write a movie about the FBI, and there was a scene. There's one movie, I believe it's called Argo.
Yeah.
One of those movies where there's a scene where the CIA is torturing someone, and the FBI agent is there. And in the original script, the FBI agent is joining in on the torture, which is probably accurate. However, the FBI pushed back against the movie studio and made them rewrite the scene. So they don't protect CIA or ICE or any other federal agency. You can portray them however you want. But with the FBI, what they did is the FBI agent had to help rewrite the script. And so the final cut of the film shows the same scene, the CIA agent brutally torturing a Muslim. But the FBI agent walks out of the room in disgust and reminds the CIA agent, this is against the Geneva Convention. I'm outraged. Wow. And the FBI agent is portrayed as stepping out and looking very dour and very outraged at what they see.
But the Silence of the Lambs, they were okay with that, of her going in there and shooting a tranny.
The idea of having a federal body that, in cases where you would have massive state or local or, a city police corruption, the idea of having a federal police body, or at least, I guess their stated purpose is investigation, to investigate. You have someone else to report to if there's crimes, if there's corruption, if there's local, gangsters or this kind of thing. It makes sense that you would, and that's how it, the FBI, of course, started during the Prohibition era and the Depression and all the gangsterism back then. The rules were, you could cross state lines and get away with a crime. So there was more of a need for a national or a federal police force. But so you're saying, to bring this back to what we were talking about with the CIA, you're saying that with the Patriot Act, basically the FBI, they already had a really lousy record with the political interventions, COINTELPRO.
Oh, the 90s were a disaster for the FBI.
Well, yeah, I remember the Janet Reno era and all that was Waco and Ruby Ridge. Yeah, it was horrible. Waco was one that in the 90s. It's hard for people now who weren't politically old enough to understand what was going on. Exactly how hated the FBI was by right-wing people and patriots, especially in the 90s. But that all changed with the Patriot Act. With the War on Terror, really, the FBI, the right had embraced the FBI.
Yes.
But you're saying, because I know the FBI, you had also mentioned, Stryker, that the FBI got really aggressive under Obama as well.
Yes.
So it started with Bush and it got worse under Obama, and then it continued under Trump, and now is where we're at with Biden.
So the Obama administration increased these kinds of phony terrorism plots by many multiples. The Bush administration was actually more conservative in how they operated with the FBI than under Obama, who kind of let them off the leash, ironically, against Muslims.
Right.
For the most part.
Yeah.
There are many instances where they went against nationalists as well, but the Muslims were the big thing. And so under Trump, everything got even worse than then, particularly in 2017 and 18. Now, there might be some debate about whether because Trump himself was being abused by the FBI.
Right.
So, there's some debate on that. The point is, though, is that at this point, they are no longer a crime-fighting organization. The murder clearance rates in the last 5 years are abysmal. There are major cities in this country, like Detroit, like Baltimore, places like that, where the local police department has doesn't have enough resources to keep up with the murder rate. And the murder clearance rate in some cases is like 35%. So basically 1 in 3 murders get solved in places like Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, you can't track the blacks when they kill. We joke about this. It's like when whites kill, there's like a motive, and there's like evidence and everything, and it's easy to solve. But when blacks do it, it's just totally random, and like you don't know what the heck's going on. There's like it's just total random crap.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned before, Warren, that you need a federal crime fighting force. Absolutely true. But we have the ATF. We have the DEA, we have ICE, and we have the federal marshals.
Right,
and
right.
So the FBI, in a sense, is sort of redundant. I mean, the closest thing is that they are supposed to get involved when there are unsolved murders, and it gets to be a problem, right?
Yeah.
However, the problem with that is that they don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
They are primarily operating on a political basis, and you can read it on their website. There's a 2017 speech by James Comey, who has been exposed, by the way, since then as a total fraud, corrupt sack of crap. Like, this guy is so dirty, it's not even like, even liberals won't defend him anymore. This guy gave a speech at the Anti-Defamation League where he told them, "We are at your disposal. We are here to ensure that the Holocaust never happens again. We are here to ensure that Jewish people are protected and treated as the protected class that they are."
You compare this with Nancy Pelosi's statement where she said that if the Congress burns to the ground, the only thing that will be left will be America's commitment to Israel. It was an astounding statement. Yeah.
And so the FBI doesn't hide what it's about. And so there's a kind of self-imposed bias in who gets hired at the FBI. Like, right. Knowing what their mission statement is, who's going to want to work there? It's going to be people that are politically minded, that are politically prejudiced. Right. And so let me just give you one instance of this, why this is deadly, why the FBI's role as a political organization is deadly. Actually, the resources they waste on enforcing political ideology of civil rights acts and anti-racism and anti-fascism, which is their stated political ideology, the money they waste on that. So there's 2 cases here. So the Indianapolis field office of the FBI investigated a man named Brandon Scott Hole. This man was contacted by the FBI in March 2020 because his mother said, she called the FBI and she said, "My son has a gun and he's talking about going out and murdering people."
Right.
So the Indianapolis FBI went and interviewed with him. Special agent in charge, Paul Keenan, went on the record. One little thing. Some months later, in 2021, Brandon Scott Hole, who was interviewed by the FBI and cleared as a threat, went and murdered 8 people at the FedEx facility. And then when special agent in charge, Paul Keenan, was asked by the media why the FBI didn't intervene, he said this: "We could not find a link to white supremacy in his political ideology, and because he wasn't a racially motivated violent extremist, as they call it, we didn't look into him any further."
Emily asked, was this the brony?
Yes. He was a brony, not a Nazi.
Yeah.
So the FBI lost interest. His own mother said, "My son is going to go on a shooting spree." A few months later, he does, and the FBI knew the whole time. And they didn't investigate him properly. They didn't get an FPRO, try to take his guns away or anything like they do to white nationalists. And the reason is because he did not have a political ideology. He was only just a mentally insane person that wanted to kill people. So the FBI didn't care. Now, this is